Welcome, everybody. We have one of our special authors again, and it's a very interesting title. It's called The Bullying Pandemic. And of course, we're in a pandemic. We're also in a bullying time, unfortunately.
Yes.
So here, Pamela, when you wrote this, little did you know, right?
Right. Yeah.
So tell us.
Like, yeah, you're right. All around, it feels like we're being bullied on all sides.
Right.
Yeah.
And we have a pandemic of a lot of things, right? It's not just
Yes.
right. Have you had your vaccines?
I just got the second one, so we're waiting for the days to go by. Yeah. How about you?
Good. Oh,
Yeah.
I had it about a month or so ago. Yeah, I was able to get it right away, so I'm happy. And
Yeah,
Dan
that's
just
good.
got his. Yeah.
Yeah.
So well, let's just get started with this. And I know I'm trying to remember where you're calling in from. You're calling in from Miami?
I'm from Connecticut in the hot.
Yeah, I don't know why I have a 305 number here.
Wasn't that funny? 305?
No, must be a wrong contact. Okay.
Yeah.
I know you're calling in from Connecticut. Okay.
Mhm.
And tell us what the bullying pandemic, I mean, it says on the front, the story of a teacher who survived a traumatic childhood and made it her goal to stop bullying. So this
Right.
really was kind of a true tale of
Right.
something that wasn't very happy. And how did you get over it, actually, Pamela?
Well, the funny part was I didn't recall any of it. I blocked it out. My brother and sister didn't, and they were kind of like always discussing. And I would say that isn't true. That didn't happen. So as a result, I never really had contact with them until I was older. But for some reason, I always had this desire to teach, and I wanted to teach in difficult schools, kids that needed help. And I don't know why. I mean, that was my goal, and I did get to do that. I was certified for special ed and regular classroom. And I just started teaching after my youngest went to kindergarten. And then I just picked up on their problems right away. I mean, some of my friends at the school would have a sibling and they'd say, how did you know that family was in crises? Or, what were the signs? And I couldn't really explain it. And I didn't. I said, I don't know. I could just sense it. And then I'm a member of ICVM. It's a writing group, a Christian writing group. And a woman there one time said to me, Pam, she said, why did you write the book? And I said, because I wanted to make a difference. And she said, Pam, she says, when you figure out where your pain is, that is when you will know your purpose. And it didn't make sense. I came home and I'm going over it and I'm asking myself, and all of a sudden little pieces creeped in, and eventually I began to realize that it was true. And that is how I felt connected to the kids.
And for people who read your book, and it's a very heartwarming. I mean, I've read every page of it, and you do talk about all the children, and that made you so much better a teacher. Did you share this with your fellow teachers?
No, I didn't. I never did, because sometimes they just, I don't know why I didn't. I guess I got very private because of the childhood. And, I was very outgoing, extremely outgoing, but only about, inconsequential things and, whatever we would talk about at school. But as far as myself, I just didn't talk about anything regarding myself. I wouldn't say anything I was doing. Like most of them would never had heard I had joined the fire department. And even that, I always felt like, nurturing in that area. Never really got to understand why I had, So I don't know. It just
So this book really, yeah, this book was not only for readers, but for you.
it really, it's what made me come to face everything. I never did, but the book almost like forced me, because it started like peeling an onion. It started peeling back all my feelings is what it did, really. And, and then I kind of had to face it. My parents are dead, so it wasn't like I was going to hurt my mother, or, my brother died very young. And so, yeah, I mean, it just, so that's how, I came about to actually face it. And now I think people really just don't know what to say to me. They say nothing. It's like it's like, who are you? So, but my goal is, and this one person got me for some reason. She really did. It's like she totally understood, but didn't want to push me into saying, well, this is why, it was like she was leaving me alone to kind of get there gradually, which I did. And she said that to me, then you will find your purpose in life. She says, we all have a purpose. So, yeah.
Now that's good. So my
Yeah.
author, my guest is the author of The Bullying Pandemic. Her name is Pamela Reynolds. And you can see how distraught she was because of the cover. You see a child behind bars. And it's, and I guess, and so whoever did your cover really understood you, because it says a lot by just looking at it.
Yeah. Actually, my husband did it. He did the cover for me. I told him what I was feeling, what I wanted, and he managed to capture. Yeah.
When did you first tell your husband about this whole situation when you were growing up?
When I told everybody else.
So he didn't know.
No, he didn't know a lot of it. I don't know. I just wanted to bury it. I really just
Sure.
didn't want to ever look at it again. That was my feeling. But the kid, that's what hurt, because at first I just wanted to, when I came home, because this is my third version, I wanted to, get so angry at parents. I mean, and then I finally said to myself, they probably were brought up like that themselves. I know my father was. And so it makes a difference. It's like they're just repeating what they know. So I thought, in order to help the kids, I need to help the parents. And then I softened. It was no more judgment, just help them to learn how to do better. Like in the book, I've offered ways to maybe deal with kids, ways you can teach them without hitting them all the time, because hitting never works. If anything, they become bitter and angry and fearful, and they lose confidence. Every child who was a bully, that's why they come in, who was bullied, they come in and bully others, and they lose all their confidence, and it's so sad, because my heart would ache for them. I would take the bullies too. I got them in my classroom because I didn't mind having them. I mean, it's hard when teachers have kids that behave like that, because then they have to take a lot of extra time. But I was also I was also certified in special ed. So I felt okay with them, especially I understood them. I just totally got their anger. My brother was always very angry. And so it just didn't scare me to face them.
Pamela, had you ever gone to a therapist for all this?
No.
Really?
No, never did. No.
So your book was your therapist?
I think it was because yeah, honestly, I feel better and I never made the connection to myself before. And then when
Ah,
I did, I felt better, and I felt like what I was doing was a good thing, that it was almost like I said to myself, by experiencing what I experienced, it made me capable to help them. So it just made it all more accepting, like it was a good thing. Believe it or not, it was like a good thing. If it hadn't happened, I wouldn't have understood them so much
yeah,
as I did.
right. So, how many children do you have?
I have four children, three boys and a girl. I have 10 grandchildren. And I do some babysitting for all of them now that I'm retired, except for COVID. I'm waiting for COVID to end,
Right, right.
everybody. Yeah,
So you're very different to your children and grandchildren because of your experience.
yes, yes, definitely, definitely. I mean, I don't even like to hear any of them yell at their kids,
Right.
yeah, I mean, yeah, they know how I feel. I mean, they've always known how I felt about that. I mean, if anybody honestly took a good look at their kids, they're so little and helpless. It's like, how can you think that if you smack them in the head or where any part of their body, that that's going to make them learn? I mean, I don't even know how you could ever make that leap, that it would be better and they would get smarter or they would learn. I mean, kids only respond really to love and respect and kindness. And they like it when you respect them. Even though they're little, they understand that. If you say, oh, okay, you're not done with your shoes. Some of them look like they're going to burst out crying. And then, you just say, oh, it's okay. Take your time. I'll wait the couple of minutes. We can wait. And then, like, they slow up and they fix it the correct way and they smile and they're happy and you all leave. I think it beats having them be all upset because they couldn't leave or weren't ready with the rest of the class. I mean, that's how I saw it. They always responded better, when they were treated very nicely,
What a
you
great
know.
teacher you must be. And I hope that the other teachers have learned from you, because you hold something special there. And little did you know, or did they know why, but this is
I
beautiful
know.
to talk to you. I'm so happy. I think back on even my own children, and you see, and I really wasn't hit, but my husband was hit. And so I did know that sometimes he did smack the kids. Of course, I divorced him
Yeah.
after 18 years, but the point is that it's a learned process, isn't it?
Right, right. Unfortunately, you're right. I mean, one of my siblings, I mean, that was the course they took. And and it was just so sad. My brother, he had started it and he stopped. He actually stopped himself.
Huh?
But
I was thinking, Pamela, that all the crime we see, a lot of these people shooting up people and doing things that are so
right,
unbelievable. I bet if we
right.
went back and tracked their childhood, there was a
Yes,
lot of bad stuff in it, don't you think?
absolutely. See, that's where it's so sad, because these people have probably been emotionally, physically, maybe sexually abused, and this is the result, and it is. I find that very painful, because it's like you want to help them, or you think what they did, but we don't ever look back on where they come from. And unfortunately, if a person as an adult takes that route. I don't think it's as easy to reach them, you know? I mean, I'm sure we could with some of them, and we probably should try because, you know, we might reach some of them, but a lot of them, they're a product of what they grew up with. That's what they learned. And when you are constantly bullied and hit and you're treated like you just don't count, you know, you don't feel like you count. And so everything with a person, I think, is to fight. It's just to fight for your way, fight for your seat, fight for everything, you know? I mean, my father.
But, and to have a parent like you too. So I want you to know that there's about 300 pages of very, very important stuff. If you have a child, you're a teacher, if you're for anything, you can treat your associates so much better. And it's called the bullying pandemic, meaning that it's all around us. Even though Pamela is a teacher, it really will make sense to you, and it maybe isn't too late for you. And if you haven't done any of this, maybe you can read it and help other people. But Pamela Reynolds, she opened up her heart when she wrote this, and it's incredible. In fact, Pamela, I'm going to give you another rose again. You know, you're so sweet.
And I love flowers.
Oh, that's right. It's great. And when you think about just, you know, all the people in the jails, and
Yes.
some of them have done such mean things. And if you really traced it back, and I'm sure you're right, that they've done bad things and people just put them behind bars. And I don't know what kind of counseling they get. And maybe when they do such bad things, people don't care. But if we could start off as a little baby and do what you said, love, patience, caring, maybe we'd have a better world, right?
I think so. Because I mean, I found even I remember trying to explain when you're trying to teach them something, and I would always try to relate it to something in my life, like, you know, because I'd say they wouldn't want to follow the rules in my class. They'd all kind of like gang up on me. Well, why do you have to do it? Well, why, you know, why? And I said, well, you know, I have to follow rules. When I go home and drive my car, I need to stop at a stop sign. I said, if I don't, the policeman will give me a ticket. Well, why do they do that? I said, because if I go through it, I could hit somebody. I could crash somebody's car. I can get hurt. They can get hurt. I need to buy a new car. So then they're like looking at me like, this is involved, you know, but that's what I usually do with the kids, with my own kids. Think of something that I had to do that involved like obeying a rule. And that's why you have to, because you can get hurt, or you could this, or you could hurt somebody else, you know? And then they begin to think about other people too, and not just themselves, you know? I remember close to the last day of school, we always, you know, we never stepped on bugs. You probably read that in the book with the bug.
Yes.
And I said, don't tell it. What's that?
No, do it. It's so cute. That's right.
Yeah.
It's like
So
you could be somebody's mother.
Yeah, well, that's it. And I'm like, I said to them, we don't kill the bugs, the insects, we put them outside. And of course I had a door that led to the outside. So it was easy for me. Some classrooms didn't, but we would release everything outside. And we had a new child, like the last month of school. I'll never forget it. And all of a sudden there was some kind of a bug. I don't even remember which kind, but he was crawling along the floor. And the kid said, oh, a bug. And of course they got excited because one of them would go over and take it outside with the paper. And so, but the boy came charging down and he stepped on it.
Oh my goodness, right.
The whole class, they're like, no, we don't kill them. Well, the poor little guy, he was like, what did I do? You know? But I
Oh,
was
right.
cute because it definitely made an impression on them. And they were always telling him, we don't kill them here. And so I said, well, he didn't know the rules. And then we just said, you know, we here we respect all life, whether it's flowers, because we had plants and insects and people. So you don't want to, you know, do that. But he was cute, you know, but but I thought it actually, they remembered it. I mean, you know, I just thought, you know, the world has to change a little bit. You know, I'm hoping anyways, you know, but I thought that was so cute. And they were so upset, you know, a couple of the girls were like crying. I said, okay, well, he's really mean to, you know, he's like brand new in our classroom. Oh, gee, but
You
it
know,
was,
Pamela, I live in South Florida, and we have a lot of nature outside. And every time I
oh,
see
yeah,
a little chameleon running along, and I like them, I think, I
yeah.
wonder what the chameleon's thinking. We're his brothers and sisters, or mother and father. That poor little thing's all alone. I mean, I go into this whole thing with it.
Right. Oh, I do. I'm guilty. Yes. Yeah. It's like having feeling for, well, that's a good point, because that's what I would say. You know, let the bug go home to its mother. You know, we'll send him outside. He'll go home to his mother, you know, and it kind of had some feeling to it, you know. Oh,
You know,
that's,
Pamela, hey, listen, Pamela, have you,
mhm.
you did write, and I'm going to dwell on this book, but I must tell everybody, she did write a couple of other books, but the Stimplikins,
Yeah.
the stray cat who faced down the bully and taught us the real truth about love, life, and cats. I mean, so this was your child's book. So do you take that
Yeah.
to the children? Do they read this?
Yes, I do. Yeah. I actually, that was a true story about my own family, my kids. And Stimpy he was my cat. I mean, oh my God, I loved him so much. And he was terrified of that orange cat too, terrified. And he wasn't very big. He was about 8 pounds. He wasn't a big cat. But boy, when he thought the orange cat had beat him up a couple of times and I had to go out and save him. But when the cat started following me, oh, he just took off at him, and that was it. And Stimpy won,
Oh,
you know. But he was, oh my goodness. I swear I could talk to him. He knew everything I said. What a bond I had with him. Yeah,
so
true.
now that brings up that, excuse me, that brings up something. Maybe
Mhm.
you really are destined to write children's books.
Well, I started. I have a couple
Ah,
going. Yeah. Yeah, I love writing. I write and write and write all the time. I really enjoy it a lot. Yeah.
well, you are extraordinary. I don't want to forget to tell people on the back of the bullying pandemic is something I fell in love with. It's called the Worry Box.
Oh,
Now
yeah.
why don't you tell everybody about the Worry Box? I love that.
Well, the kids every day, I mean, my kids came from very difficult homes, and lots of times it was very common for a child to come in and burst out crying at the school door, you know, and sometimes I'd even have to go and get them off of the bus. They would get off for the people, and
Oh,
just sad. They just had a bad morning or a bad night, and so you know, we always I had to spend a lot of time dealing with them before we could start schoolwork. So I thought of what could I do? And finally, I just thought we have to get this out of the classroom. And so I created this worry box. It was just a box that I decorated it in blue paper, and I put in big letters worry box, and it had the folder, and I put out a whole bunch of little square pad, and they were to take a little square paper each day for every worry that they had. And all they had to do was write their name, not their worry. So it remained private. And when they were done, they would put it in the worry box, and we kept the worry box outside the classroom door. And so it was really like magic. I mean, the kids absolutely loved it. I wish I had done it like right from the beginning of my schooling, you know, but it really worked. So many kids were so relieved. I mean, one little kid, he was just writing and writing, and another little girl, I said to him, "Timmy, you almost done?" And he said, "Well, I have a lot of worries today, Mrs. And then the little girl yelled from the classroom. She said, "It's okay, Timmy. I had a lot last week." And nobody would worry about the length of time. The kids sat there. It's the only thing. They would really be well behaved and let everybody, it was like they're talking about worries. So, you know, they left them alone, and I never had trouble with getting class started. You know, even though we were 5 or 10 minutes late, you know, it seemed to calm everybody down. They felt better. You know, they weren't like angry, because sometimes you'd know something was bothering them. You know, they'd like throw a pencil off the desk and say, "Don't put your pencil on my desk," you know, fling.
Right.
So, you know, we'd have things like that, and you knew they were upset. So it stopped a lot of that, and that we began very calmly, you know, not that we always ended calmly, but we did begin calmly. No, they were good. They were really good. So I kept it going, and, you know, it wasn't too long after that I retired. And
You know,
yeah,
Pamela, I want to tell you something. I was thinking as you were talking, when we have grown-up conferences and meetings,
yeah,
probably everybody has a worry. I have worries. And if there was
Yeah.
a box
yeah,
and everyone could put something in there and nobody would, you know, read them but them, I'll bet they would feel better.
right, right. Yeah, definitely. No, you're right.
What if you opened the box then and took it outside and let it all fly away? And that way their worries would be gone.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I told them I dumped it, and I did dump it every night into the bucket, you know, but that's really cooler, except I think the janitor would be mad
That's
at
right.
me.
They wouldn't like that. So what were some of the worries? So we have a little bit of time, I think, left. Dan will tell us how much more time we have, but well, just give us
Yeah.
an idea of one or two worries.
Well, the parents were getting divorced. That was
Uh,
another of the problems. Mothers and fathers were fighting. Fathers were hitting mothers. That happened a lot.
oh,
And police were called often to their homes, you know, and the kids would be taken out. And I always had one or two kids that they were, you know, they had found like foster home for them, you know, till,
oh my.
you know, it was things like that. Fighting, lots of fighting. And when the parents remarry, they had blended families, and that was always tons of trouble, tons and tons of trouble. I mean, it seems like it's very simple, but it really isn't. When people divorce and remarry, the kids have lots of parents then, and if
Yeah.
they thought it would be four disciplinarians.
Right. Oh
because-
my gosh, that's terrible. But you know, we've run
Yeah.
out of time, and you have
Sure.
been wonderful. You know, we've done this a few times, but every time you're on, it's better and better. So Pamela, we just hope people will buy your book, The Bullying Pandemic. And I'm certainly thrilled that you wrote it. I learn every time you talk, I learn more, and just keep doing good stuff. Even if you're retired, go help somewhere, volunteer. I know you do that. Thank you, thank you,
Yeah.
thank you. Pamela, you're just an angel.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. You too. I'm telling you, I feel very comfortable talking to you, and that isn't always easy to talk about stuff like this, but I find it easy with you, Anita.
Oh, well, you're wonderful. Are you kidding? I wish we were together that I could hug you, but it's my big hug anyway.
Same
Thank
here.
you very much and keep doing wonderful things. It makes
Okay.
everyone who hears this happier. So thank you, honey.
Okay.
Have a
and I will
happy
keep in
Easter.
touch. You too. Thank you,
Bye.
Anita. Bye.
Okay.
God bless.
Bye.